Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk once again about Janet Jackson. Today, as you requested, I'm going to react to her 2001 album, All For You, and break down the album's lyrics. As with many of Janet's albums, this is a long one, so I'm going to pair tracks and listen to them and analyze them together. Before I dive in, let me know in the comments down below what Janet Jackson album I should react to next. Check the description box for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, track number 1 is Intro, and track number 2 is You Ain't Right.
Why? For what reason?
It actually looks pretty cool, and it goes with the music.
Okay. Well, that's not so bad, I guess.
No, but you just gotta get it in you now.
Are you guys recording our conversation? I get the feeling you are. Are you, Jimmy?
Ew, you sound like Fran Drescher.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This was for the clubs. I turned myself onto the night that wasn't feeling fun. I had a fever, 104, and blew my mind. A friend had my back just to step away. I'm so bad with not talk, wanna take something from the pain. I know when I come face to face with love, I gotta tell her how I feel inside.
Ooh. Love the use of the voice as percussion, that's really fun. It's also interesting how this is very much Janet embracing a distinctly early 2000s brand of pop and R&B when she was the pioneer of that genre. She influenced that era of music, and now it in turn influenced her. But of course, that poppy, danceable R&B is still totally distinctively Janet. Not a whole lot to say about the intro as far as theme goes. It's just really setting up her personality, her sense of humor, her wit, her, sort of flirtatiousness. Weirdly, after she mentioned Fran Drescher, I was hoping for, like, a guest appearance, but, that didn't come to fruition, I guess. And then You Ain't Right is a classic case of a dance song basically being its own mission statement for why dance pop exists. Because in real life, dance music is often meant to provide an escape from the outside world, and this is a dance song about needing an escape. I mean, obviously that's why she says this one's for the clubs. She's the dancer insert character, talking about backstabbing friends and all the issues she's dealing with off the dance floor. But whereas a lot of dance music is about loosening up and letting down your guard, here on the second verse she says, "No more drugs for me." Of course, on its own, that might be incompatible with club culture, but then she adds, "These walls I won't let down," again alluding to the fact that she's been betrayed. These messages seem to run counter to the typical liberation and escapism of dance music, but maybe they also set up an album where we see those walls coming down Velvet Rope style. Track number 3 is the title track, All For You, and track number 4 is Two Way For You.
Edit.
4, 3, 2, 1.
so much fun.
Carrie with the same message, but I won't do it.
Okay, wait, I got another page. Hold on, I just paged that one.
Okay, no.
Okay, here we go.
Ain't no fucking ever.
Ready?
You ready?
Okay, that was so much fun, the title track specifically. That interlude brings back an idea that she began exploring on The Velvet Rope, which is of basically this technology creeping in and changing our lives. Here she is overwhelmed by her pager, which that aged well, I guess. But on a song like Empty, that was about, you know, the advent of the internet and internet dating and this weird experience of having a connection with someone only remotely. And I don't know if that's quite related thematically to the title track, but there were some moments on that song, specifically on the second repeat on each chorus, where there was some vocal modulation. And it was one of the only instances of instrumentation on that song that didn't feel organic. You know, the rest of the song had these instruments that could have just as easily been from 20, 30 years prior, but with those little pitch shifts, we knew that she was, you know, post Y2K. And so on You Ain't Right, Janet set herself up as having the upper hand by saying that she wouldn't let her walls down, and she carries over that sort of attitude to the title track. She has this potential hookup going on, but she knows better. She knows every guy's tricks, and she will decide where this relationship goes. And in doing so, she doesn't position herself as the object of desire. In fact, the song starts out with her and her friends ogling this hot guy. Track number 5 is Come On Get Up, and track number 6 is When We Ooh. Okay. An unexpected combination, but I love it already.
Jimmy, can you turn the background up a little bit, please? Come on, get up. Come on, get up. It feels so good, right? Come on, get up, baby. So we can dance all through the night. I feel so free. I couldn't be with love than me. Now I see the single lives for me. It's crazy for you. I really wanna see you just shake that ass for me. So come on, get up, baby. Before you make me change my mind.
That is so cool.
Feel alive. And I smile 'cause you're on my mind. Come on, get up, baby. Before you make me change my mind. Let me see it move all night. Me change my mind. We can dance all through. Jeez.
Wait, I'm vibrating.
Little bit of a mood shift here.
Can't get enough of you. When we so many things in my heart that I'd like to share. A few warm thoughts, a subtle smile. You've opened my soul to happiness and shown me new ways of love. Of you. You taught me love, life, you taught me to live. Such passion in the love we make into all bodies are one. Can't get enough of you. When
Okay, 2 really, really fun tracks. Gotta love that key change on Come On Get Up. And I also wanted to mention that on that song and on some of the interludes, Janet has these little behind the scenes recordings that give us some insight into her music making process. And like I've talked about before on my channel, The creators of dance music often position themselves as having power, the power to make people dance. And Janet has used this device in parallel with ideas of personal, social, and romantic power, which is very much what she's doing here. But she doesn't frame this power as one-sided. Like on the title track, she talked about all the things that she could do for this person. When we ooh is where we start to see Janet opening up. On the pre-chorus, she says, "You've opened my soul to happiness and shown me new ways of love." And this is because, as she says on the third verse, you give of you all you can give. Contrary to my typical skepticism about relationships going well, Janet is feeling good about this, specifically because of this reciprocity. She gives her all to him, and he gives his all to her, and that equality is what makes this work. Track number 7 is China Love, and track number 8 is Love Scene, Ooh Baby.
The energy I see, the silence that you speak, the lust within my dreams, and what it says to me. So come and lay with me, shine love. How pleasant life will be, shine love. I see the sunshine when I look into your eyes. They speak of worlds gone by, we loved another time. So come and lay with me, shine love. As the sun returns, love will transfer. Let me come inside, so come and lay with me, shine love.
I like the new agey ambient synths. Okay, so on China Love, Janet used a device that I believe we have heard before on the song China by Tori Amos. The idea is, to someone in the US, China is like on the other side of the world. So if you want to talk about distance or opposing poles, China is kind of an easy frame of reference. This device isn't quite as popular today because it feeds in a slippery way into Orientalism, as you probably could hear from the instrumentation, but the point that Janet is trying to make is pretty simple. Her love feels very far away, and she wants to get closer. This is also a super small detail and maybe a stretch, but on the first verse she describes her full heart that you just can't empty, which to me brings to mind the song Empty from the Velvet Rope, where she talked about a long-distance relationship. So she has this consistent idea of close equals full and far away equals empty, which speaks to her mindset of close connections just being so important. And she extends this idea to Love Scene, where she seems to be talking about a situation where her lover is far away, but she's fantasizing about him. And it feels so real, and the desire is so intense that she says on the second verse, "Just tell me how, when, and where you want me, and I'll be there." Again, it's the idea of the title, All For You. Your love is so amazing that I'd give anything to have it. Track number 9 is Would You Mind, and track number 10 is an interlude called Lame.
Would you mind? Baby, would you mind touching me? Baby, would you mind undressing me? Making me feel sexy. 'Cause I'm gonna leave you, play with you, rub you, caress you, tell you how much I've missed you. Baby, would you mind kissing me? 'Cause I'm gonna leave you, play with you, rub you, caress you, tell you how much I've missed you. The song ended. You men, you might want to get this on tape. You men are just lame at times, I'm telling you.
So on Would You Mind, Janet had this buildup of tension from the last two songs. She met this amazing person and then she was separated from them, and now they have been reunited, and this is the overpouring of that desire. And here it's all about what she can do for that person, not the other way around. And that's really been the trend over the last few songs. We've moved from reciprocity to this one-sided effort. So at the end of the song, she basically says that she's left this encounter unfulfilled. And that tells us in a pretty concrete way about the danger of this one-sided devotion that we've seen on so many albums. It's not the outright heartbreak that we've seen on other albums, but it's just disappointment. So that leads her, of course, on the interlude to say basically that men suck. I also just wanted to comment on the word lame. It originated to describe disabilities, and now it's basically just a pejorative, and that connection between disability and general insult just isn't super great, so there are better words to use. Janet's general point, though, about men still stands. Track number 11 is Trust a Try, and track number 12 is an interlude called Clouds, featuring Carly Simon.
Trust. An amazing thing you say. Never thought the game of love this way you play. All the things you do. Never thought these things I would go through with you. Never did it in push when I tried telling you. My story had no place instead of just when I went back and you know.
Okay.
She brought joy, she brought what she thought you'd never see again. She cheated, she made you cry, said goodbye. But there's something you're never gonna feel again. With your love, this message just killing me. I feel I'm suffocating. This love is romance. You tell him, Carly.
See, Janet and me, we have clouds. Yes, we have our clouds. So many in so many great formations. Clouds in my coffee. Clouds in my coffee.
Okay. Wow. So Trust a Try reminds me of a few things. The first thing it brought to mind was that someone commented on my Aaliyah video that Aaliyah was actually a fan of Nine Inch Nails and was planning on incorporating metal sounds into her music before, of course, her untimely passing. So this to me was a little bit like what that might have sounded like. It also reminded me of the song Good As New by ABBA, because that song starts out with these sort of orchestral pop arrangements before transitioning into disco, and it has all of these really significant whiplash-inducing U-turns, and that's very much what this song was as well. And it reminded me of Rina Sawayama's new album, of course, which combines R&B with like alternative metal. That is all to say that I love the production on that track. It was so fun, and significantly, it marks an important emotional turn on this album. What's happened here, I think, is that Janet's love interest has left her, had another relationship, and gotten cheated on. And Janet says, just come back to me. I'm so much better than she was. I can help you forget all about it. So yet again, she is giving herself over completely. But what has changed is that now she has the upper hand because she is nursing this bird with a broken wing. She says on the chorus, you must give trust a try, gotta be strong with this love. So because her lover has been hurt, we see a return to this more reciprocal or equal power dynamic. And then the interlude is just a back and forth between Janet and Carly Simon talking about clouds in her coffee like on her song You're So Vain. That song is about an ex who wronged her, and she says, you're so vain, you probably think the song is about you. And so that's sort of teasing him, and of course it's ironic because obviously the song is about him, but it's more about taking power back from someone who thought they had power over you. And then the cloud formations are basically just an image of the way that love clouded her judgment. Track number 13 is Son of a Gun, I Bet You Think the Song Is About You, featuring Carly Simon, presumably incorporating You're So Vain, and track number 14 is Truth.
Ha ha hoo hoo, thought you'd get the money too. Greedy motherfuckers trying to have the cake and eat it too.
You're such a romantic hero. The way you dress and look yourself over. It's no wonder you would ponder that image of your preening self in the mirror.
All the red and everything that walks. No substance, just small talk about you feeling on the bus behind. Oh, who you gonna give it to? Who you gonna steal from? Who's your next victim? Oh, who you gonna lie to? Bet you think this song is about you. Bet you think this song is about you. You tell him, Carly.
Clouds in my coffee.
Gone.
Clouds in my coffee.
You sweat me, but I'm not your type. You think you're irking me, and it's alright. I'd rather keep the trash and throw you out. Oh, it's gonna be a showdown, knockdown, drag outs, come swing and shoot 'em out. Bet you think this song is about you. You have just run out of ammunition.
I'm a storm cloud, babe.
Shooting blanks now.
You can roll like
Son
thunder
of
all
a-
alone.
You think this song is about you? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? I'm gone.
This reminds me of the intro to I Get Lonely.
How did I get here? Think I know what I did. Always worked real hard. Maybe I missed something. I just wanna keep it real. 'Cause maybe I was doing fine on my own. I had lots of friends before, nothing nice. And I had my family before, nothing nice. My little life was nothing but doom sweated. Let's say we disagree soon. 'Cause you know you can't be no one else. Won't you bottle disappointment? 'Cause failure is just not me. I had a career before, now tonight. Let's say we disagree. So arguing ain't necessary, 'cause we both have our lives left to live. Hope your love was sincere. Don't like you don't know the truth.
I've got to say, on Son of a Gun, I was not expecting to hear Carly Simon rap today. That was really cool. Also, is it just me, or does the production on that song sound really, really up to date? Like, it could have been produced today. And so I pretty much set up the groundwork when I talked about the Clouds interlude because it's basically still the same situation. Janet's ex slept around and disrespected her, so this is her taking that power back. She uses the Carly Simon sample then, basically to taunt this person, like, yeah, I'm talking about you and I'm exposing you to everyone. And that carries over to Truth when she says, of course, the truth will set you free. On this whole album, Janet has been sort of bobbing on the surface of these deeper, more troubling feelings. She's channeled her longing into fantasies and her hurt into dance. So telling the truth by opening up about the problems in this relationship is another way that she's keeping herself afloat. On Son of a Gun, she said that her partner didn't want to have deep conversations, and so she says here, conversations deep, when you talk to yourself, there's no way to cheat. Which, whew, that's a good line. So part of the song is Janet telling her partner, or her ex rather, to own up to what he did and how he wronged her, and the rest of it is Janet basically listing what she's got going for her, mostly her music. Finally, she's turning her devotion inward to assert herself once again through the power of her music. Track number 15 is an interlude called Theory, and track number 16 is Someone to Call My Lover.
My little theory here. Okay, so we could either stop now and start at 11 or 12, or I love you for that, Jimmy. Or we can continue now. That was a pretty awesome idea, huh?
Back on the road again, feeling kinda lonely and looking for the right guy. Maybe we'll meet at a bar
That was so much fun. I love that track. It was so fun and upbeat and very nostalgic and unexpected. It had a sort of like almost saccharine sarcasm to it that reminded me of Trust to Try. So the interlude, of course, was just more behind the scenes recordings, again reminding us of this music making process. So on Truth, Janet was saying, I may not have this relationship anymore, but I have the music. And then she had this interlude where she showed us making the music, and then she transitioned into a pretty optimistic song where she pulled herself out of this funk of this breakup by saying, you know what? Let me hit the road, I'm gonna go find a new man. So it's another song about the power of fantasy, just like Love Scene. Because both here and on that song, Janet uses fantasy to fill a void created by a lack of love. Before it was distant and now it's a breakup, but hopefully it sets her on another upward trajectory emotionally. Track number 17 is Feel So Right, and track number 18 is Doesn't Really Matter. Okay. As you could probably tell from the bright and optimistic sound of these songs, they're both about finding new love. On Feels So Right, Janet is ready to jump right into this love, even though she's still kind of shaken up and confused, but her partner's pulling away a bit. So she says on the second verse, I accept you as you are, so I want you to accept my love. And she actually explains this hesitation a bit on Doesn't Really Matter when she opens the song by saying, doesn't really matter what your friends are telling you, doesn't matter what my family's saying too, it just matters that I'm in love with you. This does contradict what she said earlier about needing to listen to her friends to avoid heartbreak, but this is her just blocking out the noise and embracing love. So as far as the arc of the album goes, we have this V-shape going on where she started out on top, she wasn't vulnerable, she was in charge, and then she caught feelings and became vulnerable to this person who hurt her, and then through this sort of teasing and taunting and sarcasm and dance and music, she regained her power.
I used to sit and wonder, would I ever be happy? So many disappointments, too many ups and downs for me. But sometimes life just isn't fair, so why complain? Nobody cares. I'm about to change my vibe. Today the sun's gonna shine, 'cause I made
You know I'm a sucker for strings.
Well, what do you think? Okay, if you like it, then I'm hoping everyone else will.
And that is how the album ends. So while the outro is basically just another behind the scenes clip, Better Days really sort of summarizes her point of view on this album. She says on the first verse, "I used to sit and wonder would I ever be happy," and then she says on the chorus, "I'm about to change my vibe, the sun's gonna shine." To me, this isn't really marking a change because she's had a positive mindset for basically the entire album. She started out having been burned and decided to go chase pleasure. Then she was betrayed and had a painful breakup and immediately pulled herself out of it by going and having fun and embracing new love. So the song's message reflects really the album as a whole and how Janet's been saying that happiness is a process and it takes effort, but it's worth it. Overall, this album was so much fun. I really like these different layers of what the title can mean because it feels like a gift to her fans. She even brings up her fans on some of these songs. It feels like she's giving herself over to a lover on a lot of these songs, and it feels like she is taking power back for herself. So this album just as easily could be her looking in the mirror and saying, "I'm doing this for you, Janet." So it's a really light and fun and energetic listen. It's sort of more in line with an album like Janet than like The Velvet Rope or Rhythm Nation, where she gets more into social issues or into really deep personal issues. There's enough depth and vulnerability that it makes the journey and the conclusion of her finding happiness even more rewarding, but it never gets bogged down in misery. It's so hard for me to choose a single highlight or even just a few because there is such a nice variety here of sounds from different genres and instruments from different regions that this really feels like the confluence of so many different influences and such a celebration of music making. So what I'm learning is Janet's discography is really consistent and consistently fun. I had such a great time listening to this album, so thank you so much to all of you who recommended that I listen to it, and please let me know in the comments down below what Janet Jackson album I should react to next and what other topics you'd like to see me cover on my channel. Check the description for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.